Why does my not even a year old iPhone run out of a full battery by the end of the day, even when I barely use it? I will find you, battery draining app. I will find you!
I'd like to call a moratorium on all opening horror movie drone shots. Thank you very much.
Don't even get me started on real estate agent drone footage, because it's the hot new gig, Heather. So say real estate agents.
The most middle-aged thing I did this week was frantically look for my reading glasses when I had one pair on my head and another on my shirt.
I have been there. Have such a good day. Hello world, and welcome back to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just that.
Oh, hello there. Oh, and hello, Spring. I didn't see you there. That's how goddamn elusive you've been. How is everybody doing today on episode 189?
Heather, I was trying to do my wrestling commentator voice. I don't even really know if that is one, but
Do you watch wrestling?
no.
Do you study the way they talk?
No. I don't know. When
You're
I was
feeling
doing
it.
it, I was like, maybe this is like an MMA thing.
Well, welcome to the show that
Yes,
unpacks
let's welcome
the
to the
absurdity of
people.
everyday life for your entertainment. You know, just like midlife stuff, I feel like we like to talk about, but the joyous moments we like to share.
Indeed.
Hopefully we don't grouse too much, but we're so happy to have you along for the ride.
We are.
How
we are.
are y'all doing?
How y'all doing out there? Heather and I, we do joke about the fact that, you know, we mumble and grumble our way through the world because sometimes that's just how the world works. But
It's
this
the
is a
human
show
condition.
for fun, for community, for companionship,
And a good chuckle.
and a good chuckle if we do our jobs well. So yes, welcome to y'all. And hope you're enjoying spring or fall, wherever you may
Yeah,
be.
I feel like it's finally official. Like maybe they should have like I don't know, a memo that goes out like, hey, I think spring has really truly sprung. I feel it up here. I don't know about you, Sarah.
It's definitely sprung. You know, in fact, it's I was having this. So I have this, like, I've been told, a somewhat bizarre relationship with some of my plants, right? Now, when other people say bizarre, it means just like, Sarah, you're just like very attached to your plants. They have names, you know, you like talk to them, you know. And I'm like, dude, I've been a cat lady for a long time. I got a dog now. Like, I'm talking to my plants. But some of the outdoor plants that don't actually belong to me, they belong to the earth, I also care about very much. Like our dogwood
As
tree.
you should.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've got one dogwood tree on the property. And, you know, for anybody who is familiar with a dogwood tree, I've talked about it before. It's a beautiful tree, especially when it blossoms.
They're very special.
They're
And
very special. They're
unique.
very unique. They're just so pretty. And I mean, lots of trees blossom and are pretty, but a dogwood is really something else. We
I
had a
agree.
lot of rain and a lot of like weird chilly weather. Kind of, you know, it carried on from winter into early spring here in Sonoma County, California. And the dogwood was just like dormant, you know, and like I saw some like leaves springing up kind of, but like not really. And I was like, oh no, the dogwood. Hydrangea, another plant that like sometimes they just like, they won't give you what you want. Like
Yeah,
they
you're
take like
right.
a
You're right.
whole, they take like a whole year to kind of like get themselves back in order. And I have a friend who, you know, I mentioned the dogwood tree not once, but twice, you know, and they were like, Sarah, you're like really worried about the dogwood tree. And I was like, well, but like that's like my favorite part of the year is the dogwood tree blooming. You know, I've lived here for a few years now, you know, it's like, I know what's supposed to happen. It kind of turned into like it started to leaf and then also blossom bloom. So we kind of have like a hybrid thing going on right now, which is still really pretty.
I think that the
I
plants
think
are
the
kinda
tree
confused.
heard my cry and said, I will
Definitely
give you
did.
what I have.
You know, I really truly think that, well, like everything is like exploding on my property. I mean, my property is like a Disney movie at this time. This is the time to see this property. That we have every single color rhodie that's just like huge, and just like we have this red rhodie that is like, you look at it and it's almost blinding. It is so bright red. It's so beautiful. And they smell, the scent is wonderful. So you walk outside and it kind of smells like you're in Hawaii, because they're, some of them are very aromatic. And, we have a lot of azaleas too that are really special in their own way. We've got some, magenta and purple and like bright pink. And I mean, it is wild. I walk around at night now that it's warmer after dinner, like in the evening, and the sun's still out, and it's just, it's truly magical. I mean, this is what makes it worth living here for me. And yeah, other than all of that, we got a couple dogwoods. We have actually like 10 probably on the property, just a couple next to my house, and then there's like a whole bunch of them that line one of the driveways for one of the Airbnbs, and they are really special. I'm more into rhodies than I was last year. I'm a big fan of hydrangeas, but yeah, you're right. I have some that are just struggling, and it takes a few years for them to kind of establish themselves. When they're really small, it does take a while. I mean, it is same with rhodies when you first plant them. They're kind of shocked, to the world when they're tiny like that, and they easily
and
get
this
eaten.
is why, like, people are like, Sarah, just chill out. It's a plant. Or I'm like, no,
it's a living thing.
It's a living thing, which starts to get into like almost like, like strange territory about how I feel about humans. But
I know. Tell me about it.
But yeah, no, I want all my
Also-
plants to, especially because I'm moving, I will not go on and on about this every week. Everybody, don't worry about it. But it's happening sooner
Yes, you
than
will.
later. And I have plants that I have been carting around for over 10 years. Not all of them are that old, but some of them are, and they like the pots they're in. I don't mess with them. I give them, sun and water, and we are good.
Yeah.
And I cannot leave them. Like, they're my family.
Yeah, of course.
And,
of course,
and then I have other plants that like have never really flourished, but like, either temporarily we're kind of
kinda hang
okay, or, my cat ate one of my dracaenas. That's a whole thing. So there are certain plants where I'm like, you know what, you're not going to make them move. We've had a
Yeah,
difficult
totally.
conversation about it already. And the plant says, I understand. I will go back to nature somewhere in the yard here. And it's like, it's sad. It honestly is sad.
I agree. It's so funny because we cut down a little small tree because it was kind of blocking the view, and it was in a weird spot. And I think it was a volunteer. Like, it just showed up because it's a native.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone planted it. I could be wrong, but it's a silver tassel tree, which can be very beautiful. They bloom these silvery tassels. Like, it was like a couple months ago. It's now dormant, so it is kind of an early in the year bloomer. But this was a small tree, and I made the decision yesterday, and I felt bad about it. I was like, I kind of said sorry to it, but I'm like, you're really blocking the view. Like, we have a low lying area that's mostly shrubs and heathers and stuff that are, a couple feet tall, because they're in front of the ocean. You don't want to block the view, right? And then you've got this tree that's just this huge tree. It doesn't make sense for it to be there. But no, I have feelings for things too. And I was actually hearing a report today, which, it's important to the gardener was talking about what she's planting to encourage bees and, butterflies and that kind of thing. And I think that's important. I think it's important to supply plants for insects, for them to do their thing. And I think it makes the world go round. I think it's we could all do our part. It's an important hobby, I guess. I don't know if it's really a hobby.
Yeah,
but
usually around this year, I am going to the local nursery, and I really have a soft spot for all things cactus, and I can't just have like that many cactus plants. But I have like 7 or 8 of them, and they all have names. They're all very important to me. But I still go, there's a real nice nursery not too far from me. There are a few, but there's one in particular that I love. And, I would be like planting stuff, even stuff like in the ground that I'm not necessarily going to take with me when I move away. But I just didn't do it this year because I'm like, what's the point?
Sure, yeah, you're moving. You should wait because you may you may want to hold off until you actually find your own place, and then you can really
And then
establish
figure
a
out, yeah, I
garden.
mean, and trust me, like I've lived in many apartment where there was no real outside area to plant anything.
Yeah.
Like indoor plants, fine. You know, within reason, right? And sometimes there's a yard, and sometimes, you
Yeah.
just enjoy the outside of your own yard. And that's all just TBD.
It is TBD. It's funny. It's some people would kill for like acreage, but like I go back and forth with like feeling good about having more than a few acres because it's so much work. And like even I've been out in the garden more since the weather's been better, and I kind of, I mean, I don't really do much in the winter. But being outside and kind of looking at all the little nooks and crannies, it makes you crazy because you're like, the list is endless of the things, the projects, the things to move, the things to plant, the things to clear out, and it's just, you've got all these crazy vines that grow that you have to pull off. The other day, I did a major clean out of one rhododendron that was probably like 10 feet tall, 10 feet wide, but it had, ivy chokes plants. And so I had to like get under, like I was like sweating. I'm like pulling the ivy, like I'm getting scratched. My arms are all scratched up. Like you pull the sticker bushes and I mean, I cleaned it out and it's amazing how much better it looks. Cause like you can see through it. It's kind of like cleaning out your closet or cleaning out your garage. It's like very satisfying.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. There,
got to take it one bit at a time though.
and sometimes I know that feeling. Like there's a lavender plant that is near my current front door, and there's a rosemary plant sort of above it, like on a shelf. So they're in different they're supposed to hang out together, but the rosemary plant just grows crazy and wants to kill the lavender plant.
Yes.
And so several years in a row now, it's like I clean the whole area out and they both look very sad afterwards. And like within 2 weeks, they're both so happy.
Oh yeah, totally.
And this is where I start talking to my plants people. Cause I'm like, see, you like
Everything's
this.
okay.
You're okay. You're better.
It's really true because that rhodie that I cleaned out hasn't bloomed yet. And the rest of them have bloomed. I think it was getting choked, like
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
So, but I can't keep up with it all. I mean, we have some rhodies that are the size of, they're like 50 feet height and width. They're huge. They're massive,
yeah,
Sarah.
that's a crazy big plant.
Oh, it's crazy. We have several really large ones but you have to get in them. You have to go, if you're going to clean it out, you got to go, you crawl under there. And there's one in particular that I want to clean up that has, just some stuff growing out the top that looks funny, and you just need to shape it a little bit. But I'm a little scared to go in there because I mean, I'm sure there's tons of like nests, and I mean, it's a whole ecosystem in there. It's wild.
Indeed.
So, Sarah, how is everything going other than moving? You're talking to your plants and your light bulbs.
I talk to my plants. I think about moving. Yeah, so the moving thing is, haven't really started with that. So not really much to report. I'm just taking inventory really of things, kind of like I was doing, for the last couple of weeks. Like, all right, what are we getting rid of here? Look, I've got this, like, I'm looking at it right now, like this beautiful Death Star cat condo thing. I call it the Death Star because it's round and it looks like the Death Star. And Lucy the cat, my former cat, liked it for like a week, and then she was like, I don't like it anymore. And it takes up space.
I know. I hate that.
So, it's been in the garage where I have, where I am recording this now, where I have a ton of space. So, like, no big deal. But, like, do I put it in storage? I mean, Ralphie the cat has never even seen this thing. Like, he lives upstairs just chilling on blankets,
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he cares.
You should sell it.
Yeah, or just, I don't know.
Give it away.
Yeah, exactly. Then you kind of get into the situation of like, are you going to do like a yard sale, or are you just going to like leave shit on the curb?
Yeah, that's
As if
the
we
thing.
had
Well,
curbs here, but,
I will say,
you know.
just a little sidebar. I am that person. I've been renting my whole life, and I remember all those times moving out, and you just leave a mattress like on the street in San Francisco because that's just what you do. Because what else are you going to do? You don't have a truck to bring it to the dump. Well, now being like a landlord. we just had a move out, and the guy left all of his furniture out by our garbage cans, and it's a pain. And it's expensive, and so you get screwed. Like, you have to basically haul all of this guy's stuff to the dump.
Yeah.
And so it becomes this thing where I never saw the other side, and now I'm like, oh, I get it. Okay.
I think it depends also on where you live. Like, so
Sure.
Heather and I living in SF, San Francisco, for so long, like, you would put anything on the street, it is gone in
Couch,
5
an old
minutes.
car.
Yeah, like you put like just like a variety of cables, they'll be gone. Someone will
people
be
are on the
like,
lookout.
I will do something with these, and it kind of just takes care of itself. But yeah, I mean, in a situation where like you would put something on the street that would just sort of sit there and waste away, that actually happens a lot around this
Yeah, you
neighborhood.
can't really
like where
do that
people like
here.
put a couch on the street and then like for the next
It
4 days
rains.
it rains.
Totally.
And you're like, I know you wanted to just get it out of the house, but like now,
But
no
it's
one will
ruined.
take it.
Exactly. I know. What do you do? I know it's really tough. It's a dog eat dog world out there, Sarah Lane.
Oh, it sure is. Speaking of dog eat dog, we talked a little bit in the past about subscriptions and how they can start to take over. And you're, half your life is like, okay, what am I paying for? What did
Yeah.
I just get charged for?
Totally.
You and I, both have different subscriptions, but the same woes. Well, so this is actually like good news, I think, for a lot of people who are creatives. Apple today, this is Tuesday, May 9th, when we're recording this show, announced that Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro are coming to the iPad. iPad never had native
that's cool.
apps for either. The iPad and iOS in general had, like iMovie, GarageBand, and a variety of like pared down options. And those are, for many people, it's like, even for our purposes for this show, it's like, great. But if you want to use some of the more pro tools, for example, Final Cut or Logic. I use not for this show, but I use it for other podcasts that I produce, and it is very intricate. And I am not a Logic Pro by any stretch. But I like having the option to tinker around. When I'm not in a rush, it's like I will get in there and play all day. Now, it's a $200 program. It's an Apple program. It is not unlike, what's the other one that I can't think of right now? It'll come back to me, that a lot of people use for audio specifically, but it's good stuff. So, I paid for that program back in, let's say 2016, maybe early 2017, whatever. And I've had several different computers, all Apple ecosystem, but like, I'm on a Mac Mini right now. I've got a couple laptops. One of them is sort of just like a backup in case I really, really need it because it's so old. And then kind of my everyday MacBook Air. I can download Logic on all of those machines because I paid for it. And Apple knows that because it's tied to my Apple ID, and a credit card. Well, so, all right. I'm not a iPad Pro user in the sense that I use it for work. iPad to me is like sit back, play some Wordle,
totally.
look up stuff, maybe do a little
Read the
Twittering,
news.
Instagram kind of stuff. It doesn't need to be that for everybody, but that's always what it's been for me. Like, I don't really want to hold my laptop, but like the phone is still too small. So iPad is great for that.
Yeah.
I don't really use it as, a creator tool. But a lot of people do. So my beef with this whole thing is, and the caveat is that like, I actually don't really have any personal beef with this because I don't have an iPad that I want to put Logic on. But what Apple is doing is saying Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro are coming to the iPad. Yay, 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 yay. You've been asking for this forever. But you have to pay $5 a month or $50 per year for these products. And it doesn't matter if you already own them on, one of your MacBooks, say.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just bugs me, man. It bugs
Yeah.
me. It's like, why? Why?
Yeah.
I already paid like
Everything.
a lot of money. And the whole subscription thing, which, again, we've talked about, is like you can dip in and out. You can be like, oh, I want HBO, but like, for the next year or so, like, I don't really think there's anything that like is there for me.
You
like,
pop on and pop off.
I have dipped into YouTube TV countless times where I'm like, I don't really care about live TV right now. And then it'll be like, well, no, I want to watch, the NBA playoff. So like now I'm back.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy. So it's
Yeah.
like in that sense, it's kind of nice to have, I don't know, to feel like you have the option to, pick and choose.
Yeah.
But like, I was like very mad about this whole thing today, just because I'm like, wait, but I already paid. Like, this is not like a $15 program.
Yeah.
This is like like I paid a couple $100 for this. And yes, I've enjoyed the fact that like I can move it over to, various, laptops that can like handle, the RAM that's needed to even run the program in the first place. But I'm like when would I pay another subscription fee to like play this, play around with this on my iPad? I don't know, Heather, call me crazy.
No, I totally get it. And I was actually just having this conversation with my dude who is an editor. He works from home.
Yeah.
He produces, he does all the things, and I have sympathy for him because he's now actually, he started a full-time job with one of the production companies that he works for this week. So that'll change. Things will be a little easier. But being a freelance production person, you spend hundreds of dollars on subscriptions. You need space. You need Dropbox. You need, like Premiere, like all the things. And I mean, he was spending hundreds of dollars a month on all of those. He couldn't function without it. Cloud space. I mean, it's endless.
Sure. Yeah.
And I have sympathy for people who are independent contractors. I mean, I know you can write off some of that stuff, but still, yeah, the subscription thing is a little out of hand. I'm kind of hoping there'll be some aggregator. There's gotta be some kind of aggregator that you get a deal, $50 a month, you get HBO. I mean, I know there's some that are paired up. Like you can get Showtime on Amazon Prime, and there's like that kind of thing. But it would be nice if you could get a bundle. Which I'm sure somebody's going to do that at some point. But I think for me, I need to figure out how
hold your breath, Heather.
I know, maybe I shouldn't. But it's funny because it's just ongoing because I'm like, okay, good. I've got my shows. They're on HBO and Showtime right now. But I'm going to get off of Showtime. And now I want to watch a show on Hulu. And I'm like, damn it. Like I don't want to start Hulu again. It's like I keep Hulu and Showtime. I go on and off, depending on what's going on.
Well, and the whole like subscribing to various streaming services is like, I mean, I feel like we all feel the pain because it's like,
for sure.
okay, well, if money is no object, you just
Doesn't
subscribe
really
to
matter.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
run it through your Plex server, have a ball. But that's
like
not
auto-pay with my
realistic
credit
for
card
for most people. But when
I
it
like to have
comes
some
to
kind of
stuff
control.
that like, when it comes to like work stuff, for example, I pay $10 a month for Photoshop. It's not, I mean, of all the things that break my bank, that's not it. But it, it adds up.
and you can write it off. It does. It
I mean,
does.
I mean, it depends on, what's going on with your
Yeah, it
tax
does.
itch. But I'm not using Photoshop all day, every day. It's not even my bread and butter, but it's something that I'm like, when I need it, I do. And I just want to have it. I just, I don't want to like do this whole sign up thing, every couple months. Because it does
I feel
actually come
you.
up sometimes.
It does. And it's funny because yesterday I actually am having like a little. I created a little invite yesterday for a small little garden party I want to have on Saturday because I'm just like,
Ooh, am
we've
I
got to
invited?
celebrate this weather. Yeah, of course you are. I was going to send
What
you
if
the
I showed
invite.
up?
Oh, you totally can. But you don't know where I live.
in like a like summer dress. Hi.
That'd be so great. You totally should. The thing is I haven't really invited anybody out of town because it's like kind of last minute, and I live kind of freaking far.
No, I get it.
But yeah, I'll send you the invite. But I mean, it's not that
you don't
special
have
of an
to.
invite. It was just, of course you're invited. But yeah, so it's probably gonna be some just like local peeps, some people, some girls I've met up here, and some dogs, and it'll be fun. We'll hang out in the. I'm basically, this is impetus for me to set up my outdoor like sitting area in my heather garden, where Frank the dog is buried actually, and it's a lovely little spot. You should come visit sometime. It's really lovely, and we can play badminton out there and have some champagne and this whole thing. Anyway, so I don't have Photoshop. I don't pay the monthly like you do, but I have like an Adobe app that because I tend to, if I make things like that, I use my phone. I use those little photo apps a lot.
Yeah.
Like to
Yeah.
add text and be creative. And so I made one on there. I ended up doing it with my dude who has Photoshop, and we did it on his computer because it was just easier. But yeah, I feel you. I'm going old school. The other day I bought some oil-based pastels that were like $2 for like a kit of like all the colors and a notepad, because I want to kind of take a stab at painting again, but I don't want to invest in all the paints and the brushes and the whole it's like a whole thing.
Oh,
So I'm like,
that's
you know what?
fun though.
Yeah. And I actually started drawing an invitation, and then I was like, God, what am I doing? I don't have time for this. Anyway, but Sarah, I wanted to mention that I did have such a good weekend. See what I did there?
Yep. I hear you and I see you.
We played our first game of badminton for 2023, which was really exciting because, like, as we have been belaboring on the show, the weather has been shit. And it was cute because when I pop into town, a lot of people like bring it up. Like today, I was at the hardware store, and one of the sweet guys, he was like walking me over to the other building, and he's just like, "Wow, yeah, this weather is something, isn't it?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Man, this has been a really tough winter," and it's so funny to commiserate with strangers about it because everybody else, you realize you're like, it's not just you in a bubble like suffering with this constant rain and that kind of thing, but. We made a little date, me and my dude, to like do some stuff around the house, just like some spring cleaning, move around our wall art. 'Cause we're having this little party, this little thing this weekend, and so thought it would be a good exercise. So we put on some records, and it was a fun day. It was just like, it was very beautiful out, and we ended up like moving around all the art, and it looks so much better. I'm like, why did we not do this? You know how that happens where this is way,
100%.
way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was like such a refreshing thing. And while I was sort of, I was sort of dawdling in the living room. We were listening to our records and just hanging around, and just, it took kind of an all day thing. I started to just, in my downtime, I started to organize my books because I hadn't done that in a while. And we have these inlay bookshelves that are really great. And I just on a whim started organizing them according to color. I never thought, oh, I'm going to organize my books according to color. I just started doing it. It was never on my list to do. Didn't really know much about it. I've just seen pictures of people doing it, and it is so fun. Who knew? I really enjoyed it for a lot of reasons. And I know, and then I started to kind of like Google it, and I went down this rabbit hole. Like, it's very controversial apparently, which I was just like, oh my God, are you kidding me? This is crazy. Everything's controversial, I guess, on some level. But like
It's controversial because
people think that if you're going to color code your bookshelf, you don't read your books. It's like anti-intellectual. It's frivolous. You're not an avid reader. It's like it kind of, it's insulting to the books.
Goodness gracious.
I know. And the funny thing is too, is there's a lot of actually like renowned like authors who do this. And then, you see the Twitter. I mean, there's all these like, I'm not going to get into the weeds here, but there's a lot of different conversations on Twitter about people like arguing about it, like why they hate it. They're repulsed by it. Like, it's really funny, actually. Yeah.
Now listen, listen, if I walked into somebody's house and they had a big old bookshelf and like every spine was pink, I'd be like, huh,
Yeah,
that's
that's a little
weird.
odd.
But also like maybe that's what brings them joy. So like whatever.
Yeah.
But I have color coded my books before. I have a big, bookshelf with a bunch of, old books that I've been carrying around forever. The only thing, and I'm with you. I think that like it doesn't even need to be like a conversation piece. It just kind of looks nice.
I think it makes me feel more organized. It's like a good
Yeah.
brain squeegee. Like it clears it's like cleaning out your closet or like cleaning out from
Yeah.
under the
Yeah.
rhododendron out front of your house. It's like, it's easy on the eyes. It's
Also,
a fun
like, how many
exercise.
bookshelves have you seen at other people's houses where, like, and I'm not calling out anybody in particular, but like where you're just like, oh, if I just reorganized things, it would like look so
Makes
much
a
less
huge
chaotic in that
difference.
corner.
Yes. Yes,
You know?
totally. And I love that what's cool too is just you can do it however you want. Like I've seen people that flip them over so that the spine is on the inside and the pages are on the out. That is whack to me.
Whack.
But if you have
Fully whack.
fully whack, but if you have a reason for doing it, I want to hear it because hey, you do you.
I mean, I feel like if anyone's not familiar with this, I don't really know if it's like a trend as much as it was a couple
I
of
think
years
people
ago.
do it for like Instagram and like show like it's like colorful. It's a rainbow of
Yeah.
colors, like that kind of thing.
It sort
But
of,
that's not why I did
it
it.
gives an otherwise maybe like chaotic, like, look at all these spines of books. Like, they
Yeah.
all look the same, but they're still the same amount of books.
Yeah, I think you can do whatever you want, whatever makes you feel good. And I think for me, what I liked about this type of organization, it was just something for me to do to look through my books, clean them off, reorganize.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of like different parts of my identity, like the favorite books that I've read over the years, like when I was in college, where I've traveled, things I plan to read. And I reminded myself, oh, I'd like to reread this, or, I only read half of this. I want to finish it. And it took me on a cool trip, like down memory lane. And I think for me, I'm such a visual learner that I think I remember colors more than I would titles and names. So for me, it's a win. And I can easily find stuff. And I think, this is a funny thing that I grabbed online that was kind of about the controversial aspect of it. It's like the most perplexing point of it being controversial. It's like we identify everyday items by color all the time. What makes books any different? And we judge books
True.
by their covers and identify them by their covers too. So while organizing books by color it would result in absolute chaos in, say, a public library, it could make a lot of sense in someone's own personal library. Of course, we're not going to do the Dewey Decimal System. I mean, that's craziness.
Right. Yeah.
But
No,
but yeah, I'd like to know how y'all feel about this. Like, do you color code your bookshelf? Don't be shy. We won't bite. Email us at hi@havesuchagooday.com.
Indeed, we will. I will say, Heather, I kind of just like, I color coded books, I don't know, like a couple apartments ago, and I was like, this looks amazing. And it did. It really did.
Yeah,
What I
it's
feel
nice.
like is most important for me, because I have a real mishmash of like hardcover and paperbacks. Like,
Yeah.
I want books of the same vertical height to be around books of the same vertical height. And if like in that particular cubby, like I can maybe do like, ooh, and maybe paperbacks going horizontal,
Yeah,
on
I
the
do that
side.
too. Yeah, like I did like a whole
It's
like,
like, you can have fun with it.
yeah, like I did a whole like section of white books, and then I like standing up vertical, and then I did next to it like stacked horizontal black books. And yeah, you can do whatever you want. I didn't make a rainbow. I just kind of went with, I was like, oh, neat. Like I've got like a handful of green books and then the blue. And it was just,
Yeah.
it was actually a really fun exercise of color and the different shades. Is this yellow or is this more green? I don't know. Put it aside. And then it was definitely something that I was sort of pleasantly surprised by.
Well, I love that. I'm glad. I hope you have a very fun summer party.
Thank
I mean,
you very
all
much.
kidding aside, like there's no way I could come because I'm far away and, life is
Yeah,
hard.
I
but
hear you.
but I know that we will have summer parties in our future.
Oh, we will for sure, for sure. You know, speaking of kind of summertime, I was going to ask you how you felt about like I feel like this is sort of a cyclical subject for us on the show, but I always around this time when the weather starts getting better, I get all like in a frenzy where I have friends who plan out their whole year through Christmas, in January. And I get a little envious because I don't do that. Like I'm a little bit more like I have a wedding in August and I have some things peppered throughout the year, but I was sort of toying with going to France this summer because I haven't been for a while. And, I wanted to kind of get back to Europe, but I'm getting really discouraged by like all the like, have you booked your summer travel yet? Emails and articles about how crazy travel is going to be this summer and blah, blah, blah. And like the whole like, new places being ruined because of like popular TV shows and Instagram, just like discovering all these places that used to be wonderful places to visit. And now it's like, it kind of does the inverse for me. Like, I don't want to go. Like I wanted to go to Sicily really bad for a long time. And then now I'm kind of like, I'm not sure I want to go now because the like White Lotus, it's kind of been blown up,
I mean, but like really, like to the point where you couldn't like have like a nice vacation. Well,
maybe off season, maybe not in the middle of summer. I wouldn't do that in the middle of, like, especially
I get
Sicily
what you're
right now
saying.
is very
I get
popular.
what you're saying for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard to avoid. I think like it's, times are kind of turbulent. I think, people like to see something plugged on Instagram that looks beautiful and they can fantasize about it and buy a ticket and be stoked. And I get it. I mean, maybe even like inspiration because of Instagram is like kind of become globalized, and it's like there's nothing we can do about it. It's like you either go and you brave the crowds or you wait until off season. So that's kind of where I'm at. I want to know what y'all think. Do you guys out there, do you travel in the summer? Are you always planning a summer vacation? Maybe because your kids are out of school, to catch the rays, or do you wait until off season to skip the crowds? Email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, speaking of summer travel, I've got a wedding also to go to
Where's
next
this
month.
one? Iowa, Ohio,
Wisconsin. But not super far from Chicago. So I don't know. There's a part of me like, I mean, my plans have been set. I'm going. I don't know what I'm gonna wear. I'll work it out. I have to move like right before then, so like that kind of sucks. But like,
it's coming up really soon.
yeah, the whole thing it's all a lot, Heather. But
And you got your plane ticket. You're set to go.
yeah, no, it's
Oof.
it's a thing.
Okay.
I will show up. I will be there. I will have a bed to sleep in. And I will be able to get in a plane and fly back home.
Yeah.
When at the end of it, and there's going to be a lot of friends there, and I'm going to be
that's
excited
awesome.
excited
Fun.
about it. But yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Summer travel, man.
I think also, before we, move on, I think for a lot of people, myself included, it's still really hard to travel.
Yeah.
I mean, travel used to be just like, that was my jam.
Yeah.
I mean, I was fucking house poor, but I would travel wherever,
You did.
whenever.
You did.
And now I'm like, ooh, travel. That's tough. Do I really want to go?
Like, okay, so let's just like unpack this just a little bit and we can, leave the rest of it for another show. But you're saying it's a lot more, things have changed with travel. Like there's a lot more people, there's a lot more chaos, there's a lot more explain. Explain, Elaine.
Thank you. I think for me, it's that I got so used to being not in a travel mode.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it, to be clear. Like, I am happiest when I'm like exploring the world.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to space. Just put me on Earth and I am good to go.
But maybe you've changed. Maybe you aren't that person anymore.
Well, I think that because of so much of the shutdown, where like we didn't have the options to
Yes.
like I can't just like go to Beijing tomorrow. Like, well,
And
maybe I
would
still
you want
can't,
to?
maybe a funny example, but like there's so many, I have friends around the world and
Yeah.
even, around the US and, I want to see all of them. But like we all just got used to being like, oh, I'd love to see you someday.
Yeah, totally.
So now like it's like, oh, okay, someday is now. So that's
true.
kind of what I'm dealing with, I think.
Yeah, I know. Same, same. I'm like, I feel like, and then I always get scattered when I think about it. 'Cause I'm like, oh, but if I'm in France, I should go to Switzerland to visit my, relatives. But then I'm like, but that's pretty far. Like, you have to, you gotta rein it in a little bit. But
Yeah.
I digress. Let's move on here. We'll keep talking about traveling as the summer goes on.
We sure
Not
will.
a problem.
All right, so just a reminder before we get to some emails, and by the way, thank you in advance. We got a lot of emails and
Lots of chatter
We
in
really
our box.
love, getting the feedback. Keep it coming. But a reminder that we are an independent little pro-do here. Patreon.com/have such a good day is where you can find out more about how to directly support the show. You can certainly subscribe. Many of you do and are not patrons, and we love you and we hope you spread the word. Hope you're enjoying the show. If you would prefer a, let's say, no ad version of the show, that's a great thing that Patreon can provide you. Plus, going into our Discord, if you can part with $5 or more per month, you can be part of our Discord. Discorders are our favorites, and we love y'all. And
We love you all equally, but there's a special relationship we have with our Discord.
yeah, we hope you're all having a
more
really good spring. In fact, let's just say this right now, Discorders, how is your spring going? And be honest.
All right, we're gonna pop in there and we're gonna have a convo about this because we want to know what's going on in your world. But in the meantime, we got some emails or some notes, that kind of thing. Various places that people leave us notes. One of them was for moi. This is from a Brian. He wanted to recommend the Auto Sleep app, and he's referring to last week when I talked about the sleep app on my Apple Watch that doesn't give a lot of context. It just kind of gives you a chart on how you slept and maybe you had X amount of hours of REM sleep or whatever. But I want to know more. I want to know details. Did I sleepwalk? Did I talk in my sleep? I don't know, all those things. And he's saying that it gives more details on sleep, and it may be what you're looking for. Hope this helps.
Cool.
Thank you, Brian.
Auto
I'm
Sleep
definitely
app.
checking that out.
Yeah, very cool.
Downloading it right now.
We also got a note from Gadget Smart, by the way, new patron. Thank you for being here, Gadget Smart. Very happy to have you. Gadget Smart says, I love how passionate Sarah is about Apple Watch and the many things that it can do. Gadget Smart, thank you. I appreciate your appreciation of me. At WWDC, we fans were expecting watchOS 10 to be unveiled with some features. I'd be thrilled to contribute to the conversation, especially if I'm asked. Big fan of HSGD. Just have such a good day. Gadget Smart also says, this is also super delightful to see your faces on my iPhone 14 Dynamic Island.
Dynamic Island. I'm not sure I know what that is. I feel like I'm on top of my technology, but what is that?
Well, Heather, widgets, the home screen
got it.
All sorts of things these days.
Oh yeah.
But
Dynamic
Gadget Smart,
Island.
I am with you. I'm pretty stoked on what Apple Watch, what WatchOS will unveil next month. But yeah, thanks for being part of our show, and thanks for also caring about tech stuff, because
Yeah, man.
you my
Stoked
people.
to have you. Yeah. So our last email we got from Ron, and he's referring to subscription hell, aka sub hell. We talked about this at length on the last episode, and just the, not remembering your logins and just all the things, just trying to track everything. So he's saying, I put my login info as very good hints on iPhone contacts under the name of the service. That is a good
kind of
I
a
like
fun
this. A good little life hack.
Yeah.
Because I definitely don't do that. I have another way I do it, but I don't want to blow up my spot because it might make a hacker out there hack into my phone.
Sure.
But I think that's
sure.
actually smarter. That's a really smart way to do it.
I mean, listen, if your phone was compromised in some way, then, well, Ron, I think you've probably thought about that. However, I do think that's a clever way to remind yourself of things.
Agreed.
Knowing that, you need to make sure that security is first.
Yes, for sure. And then
Ron also wrote in a few things to us, but one of his questions was, Sarah names her lights? And this is, we're talking about smart lights, because Heather was like, like, I like my kind of light. And I was like, smart bulbs are the way of the future. Yes, I do name all of them, but not the way that I name my plants. I don't care about my lights all that much, but I have various like
you don't name them Fred and like Joe. And...
No, I name like dresser 1, dresser 2.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Globe 1, kitchen light, loft light.
So clever, Sarah.
I know. But the thing is that you can string them together to do various things. Like in the morning when I get up and I'm like, good morning, you know who? I have like various lights that light on, but not like my bed light because I just got out of bed. So why would I want that light to be on? So anyway,
I would like a demo next time. Well, I probably won't make it down there before you move, but I would love a lighting demo next time I see you in your new place.
100%. Glad to offer that to you.
Yeah, and the next little bit Ron mentions is about AppleCare, which we talked about also on last week's show. That I don't know. Sometimes I buy it, sometimes I don't. I get nervous, especially with I think I got it with my MacBook Pro. But I haven't gotten it with anything else. I didn't get it with my Apple Watch. But he's saying I had it for my 2011 MacBook Pro i7 and happily used it to change the battery at the end of year 3. Smart. He goes on to say, didn't get it for my 16-inch M1 MacBook Pro. Didn't get it for any of my iPhone Pro Maxes. But always use protective cases. Got it for my 10.5 iPad Pro. So... yeah, I think it's interesting to hear what y'all are doing with that because I think there are certain things I'm a little nervous I don't have Apple Watch AppleCare because I'm kind of klutzy. I'm not klutzy. I bump the walls a bit and I feel like I'm going to scratch the face.
You're a woman of action, Heather.
I am a woman of action, Sarah. Thank you. That's well put.
But I mean, it's true. It's like
I do things. I get up and do things. That's just
Heather
what
and I
do.
had a conversation earlier, recently, where she was like, AppleCare, and I was like, I never pay for that. But I also I reap the non-rewards of that because shit breaks.
Oh
So,
yeah, totally.
You kind of gotta,
Shit happens too.
Yeah, it's
Speaking
insurance.
of
It's insurance.
Yes, it is insurance. Oh, let's not even talk about insurance.
Yes,
It's a whole other story. Well, Sarah, this has been a lovely hour to spend with you on this beautiful day. I'm gonna get outside, I think.
You know what? I think I am too. I heard a splash. I think somebody might be in the pool, and I might want to join them.
Join. I think you should. I'm a little jelly.
Someone being Otis the dog.
Oh.
Yeah, he's trying to smile these days.
Oh, very cute.
I know, very cute. But hey, everybody, thank you for being with us. Episode 189.
Yeah, man. We're getting up there.
Le Can. I don't know what can is in
Le
French.
Can. Oof.
Le Can.
It's funny. That's a word that... Oh, la canette.
La Canette.
La Canette.
Ooh, that's good.
So
this
much
episode
better
of
than
Have
the
Such a
Can.
Good Day in La Canette.
Dans la canette.
Dans La Canette.
Good stuff. On that note,
good, very
until
good.
next week, I will remain Heather forever.
And I will be Sarah Mascara. Have such a good day.
Have such a good day. Ciao, ciao.